Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans. Guess what? Today is a I sell Medicare plans community Q&A. So that's why we're here today. Hello, everyone. It's a live Q&A. I'm going to answer questions that you've submitted. I want to thank you once again for being a part of the community. Thank you so very, very much for taking the time to submit questions. And I do have one question today that has been asked by several people. So I'm going to start with that question. If anyone comes in live and has a question that you'd like to ask, then I'll also answer that question. As you know, I don't know everything. And if I don't know the answer, I believe I know where to find the answer, the correct answer, so that you have the right information. So I'm just going to share my screen with you so that you can see today's question. This is the question that most people have asked this month. It's a very simple question. What do I do now? And that's because we're just coming out of the annual enrollment period, AEP. Many of you started doing Medicare this year. And many of you have also worked Medicare, and this might be your second year or your third year, but you still don't do Medicare full-time, but you would like to do Medicare full-time. So let's try to answer this question. What do you do now? Now that AEP is over, what should you do? Well, you should be planning right this moment and during the rest of the month of December. If you're wanting to work Medicare year-round, you should be planning what your activities and where you will find people and what your opportunities are for the next enrollment period. Now, you will hear some things from me that you've heard before. You will hear the same thing from many different people because there are some things that are out of our control. They're definitely set up by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, and those are things that no one out here in the field will have control of. And one of those things is the enrollment periods. So the next enrollment period in Medicare using the calendar is open enrollment period, OEP. And I know that some of you do ACA, and open enrollment for you means something different. But Medicare open enrollment is January 1 to March 31. And until that changes, the OEP election can be used during January, February, and March. So anyone who has a Medicare Advantage plan with or without prescription drugs, these are the people who have an opportunity to change their plans, change their companies during January, February, and March. So their effective dates are going to be February 1st, March 1st, and April 1st, respectively, if you're using OEP as the election code. So what you should be doing now is thinking about the ways that you will meet the people so that you have an opportunity to actually enroll people during OEP. OEP is not allowed to be marketed like AEP is, although there are some people who will openly market OEP. But here's a suggestion for you. During the AEP, you received permission to call, permission to contact slips. And those PTCs would expire with the AEP. However, you can follow up with them and reaffirm that it is okay for you to contact the person and contact them to follow up if they did not make a decision with you during AEP and they have a Medicare Advantage plan or they were looking at a Medicare Advantage plan. So you're contacting them to find out, did they choose the Medicare Advantage plan during AEP? If it was not a plan that you offered, what made the decision for them? That's a learning process. Next time you will know. But also, you might learn that the plan that they've chosen doesn't fit the needs of the individual. It will require some very good conversation with the individual, and only if you have their permission to contact them after the holidays in January for a February, March, or April effective date. And if at that first contact they have not made a decision, or you're not able to set an appointment to review what they have, ask for permission to follow up before March 31st. Set it at a time when it's going to be convenient for you to go back to your CRM and your notes and know what you're talking about when you talk to that individual. Now, if the person says to you, no, I've already set and don't call me again, please pay attention to that. Do not call again. You can certainly mail them something, and if you have their permission, you can text or email, but don't call them again if they ask you to do not call. The second opportunity that you might have during January, February, March, the first quarter of the year, and this is if you are planning or you want to work Medicare year round. Let's start with the first quarter. There's always going to be SEP opportunities. So if you're not familiar with what the special election enrollment might be, review enrollment periods and the special elections. As an example, chronic illness. Someone may have a chronic illness and they can change their plan. You may have a 5-star plan that is available in your area, and you can use that plan with an SEP enrollment period. Someone may have moved recently. Someone may have lost or gained LIS, low income subsidy, or Medicaid. Those are all special elections. Someone may be leaving employment and leaving an employer group plan. That's a special election. Know your special elections so that you can, when you're speaking with someone, you can very quickly identify where there is a possibility for a special election. This is how you are able to enroll people during other than AEP. Now, IEPs are initial enrollment periods. There will always be someone who is turning 65, getting Medicare for the first time. And during January, February, and March, there may be people who have delayed getting a plan for whatever reason. They think that, well, if I just have Medicare and it's coming, then that's good. But they may also still be in the back end of that 7-month period when they have an initial election. So that's another opportunity for you to work during January, February, and March. This is also the time, since it's the beginning of the year, that you should establish some process for working IEPs, initial enrollments, all year long. And generally, that process will require that you're working 4, 5, or 6 months even out, so that you are the first person that an individual who's going to be 65 in 2023, you are the first person that they receive information from. If you do not have a process for working with your local mailings to the people who are turning 65, make sure that you reach out in the group. Let us know in comments, or you can contact me directly and I'll put the answers for a local mailing process in the community. There are some people who will use vendors. There are vendors, lead vendors, who can also set up an IEP process for you. So that's another way. If you can afford to do that, it's set up, the mailing is handled, it goes out, the list is established, it's mailed, you get the responses. So there's more than one way of doing this, and there are ways that you can do it. There is nothing to stop you from doing it. So during January, February, and March, what should you do now? You should be preparing to write IEPs, SEPs, and OEPs. And if you have any questions, that's what the community is about. The community is set up for you to ask those questions. I know that everybody has been busy with the holidays. I also think that some of us might be a little exhausted from AEP. I have felt the exhaustion, but I want to wish to everyone in the community, from Norris and I, and our new home, a very, very Merry Christmas, the best of the new year. Reach out in the community with your questions and your answers. Let me know what it is that you need to know. And I hope that I've given you enough information so that you know what you need to do now. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're not watching live, the replay will be in the community for you to watch. Enjoy the holiday, enjoy family. Thank you so much for being a part of this community.